Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm the City Witch and I have a brand new book review for you guys today, and I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's by my favourite author of all time. So this book is called Consorting with Spirits, A Guide to Working with Invisible Allies, and it's by Jason Miller. He's also the author of Protection and Reversal Magic, which was one of the most popular books of the year it was written, and still today it's a very popular book that many people, including myself, recommend. So if you guys have never read any books by Jason Miller, honestly, I cannot recommend him enough. He is my number one favourite occult magical writer. He does a fantastic job in all of his books, and honestly, I've never ever been disappointed by a book I've read by him. I find him to be really informative, insightful, detail orientated, and I love the funny little quirks and jokes he puts throughout his books, and I really like his personal experiences in the books as well. It gives you great insight into why he decided to do things a certain way, what led him down a certain path, and of course what led him to the spells and rituals that he provides to you, the reader. So honestly, get your hands on some of his work because it is fantastic and all his books are phenomenal. That being said, we today are talking about his latest book, Consorting with Spirits. Now, I got this book at the beginning of the year, literally within a week of it coming out on Amazon. And I read it in the space of a week, and I read it from cover to cover. And then what I did was I went back, because I'd sticky noted all the rituals and practices I wanted to try. And then I went back and did all of those things that I wanted to try for myself over the course of a few months. Now, I did this with a number of my colleagues, and we all got fantastic results from all of the ritual workings that we tried. So honestly, guys, you will not be disappointed with this book. As I've said before, all his books are informative, insightful, and very detail orientated, and many of them come with beautiful illustrations, lots of unique sigils and ritual layouts you can try for yourself. The book wasn't that expensive. I think I paid roughly about £14 for it on Amazon at the time. It might have gone up or down at the moment, depending on popularity, but that's what I paid for it. This is what the back of the book looks like. So it does have a foreword from Matt Oren and Christopher Penczak and Jackie Smith. And then on the back it says, throughout history, humans have sought power and knowledge from spirits. Learning how to conjure, communicate with, and negotiate with these unseen powers is one of the keys to success in magic. Consorting with spirits presents a detailed explanation of what spirits are, their different classifications, and how they exist in relation to the world we normally perceive. The reader will then learn a system of practices that will cultivate three main skills: the capacity to perceive spirits clearly, the ability to interact with them effectively, and the tools to deepen your relationships with them. It is this focus on deepening relationships and increasing clarity in communications that has been missing from much of the material about spirits. This book will teach you different ways of interacting with spirits, from offerings and invitations to forceful conjurations. With these tools in hand, you can work with your spirit allies to achieve any goal, from protection to wealth to vast knowledge. Okay, and then there's a little bit about Jason Miller here that I'm going to read out as well for those of you who have not read any of his work before. Jason Miller has devoted the last 35 years to studying practical magic in its many forms. He is the author of 6 books, including the now classic Protection and Reversal Magic. He teaches several courses online, including the Strategic Sorcery 1-year course, the Sorcery of Hecate training, and the Black School of Saint Caprian. Hope I'm saying that right. Find out more at his website, www.strategicsorcery.net. Okay, so the first thing I want to say about this book was it's absolutely 100% worth the money. You will not be disappointed in what you pay for it. And that kind of goes for every single book by him. And actually, for those of you who have not read Protection and Reversal Magic, if you go and look at that on Amazon right now, there is a new updated version of that book on there available, and actually I've been tempted to buy it because I have the original copy, and it'd be really interesting to see how he's updated it and what he's added to it. So I absolutely recommend getting your hands on that book. I think everyone should have that book in their collection because it is truly fantastic. this particular book for me was definitely something that was missing from my collection. There are other books out there on spirits, but not all of them are very good. Most of them waffle on, or they come at it from a very occult perspective. This came at it from a more eclectic, friendly perspective of building relationships with spirits, which is how I feel and how I operate when I work with my spirit guides. And I have quite a vast spirit team now, and I've definitely added to it thanks to this book. I will say, if you are a complete beginner, this probably isn't the book for you. I don't think this is beginner friendly for a number of reasons. Firstly, this is quite a heavy subject and something that only an intermediate to advanced practitioner should do. And what I mean by that is, if you are kind of very new to magical practices, you're only just figuring yourself out as a witch, you're barely casting your first spells, performing your first rituals, and you're not really getting great results at the moment because you're still practicing and still learning, which, by the way, guys, is how we all learn, so don't be ashamed by that. But I will definitely say that you will find that this book probably is a bit too advanced for you if you're a complete beginner. There's concepts in this that I'm not 100% sure you would understand, and I think that it might be just a bit too difficult while you're a beginner practitioner. But if you've been practicing for a couple of years and you're ready to dip your toes into working with spirits and building your spirit team, connecting with your spirit guides, this could be the book for you. I will warn you all, there is no protection magic in this book. And many of you are probably going, what? Like, shouldn't it have protection magic? But actually, Jason explains that very well in this book, and I will get to that when I start going through the contents of the book. So I will explain it, but definitely not for a beginner, more of an intermediate, advanced book, I would say. For me, this book was informative, insightful, detail orientated, had some fantastic exercises and rituals in it that definitely work because I've tried and tested them myself, and I found the book to be an absolute delight to read. And as always, Jason Miller has not disappointed. I was really looking forward to this book and I enjoyed it all the way through, and it's definitely a book I refer to time and time again. And actually, as you can see, I have sticky notes in it, so you can see that I do use it, I do refer to it on a regular basis, and it is definitely one of my more favourite books in my collection. And I only add books to my collection that I plan to keep, that I know I'll use time and time again. Any book I did not enjoy after I reviewed it pretty much gets sold or given away to somebody else who might get more from it than I do. But this is definitely something I will cherish and use time and time again. So what do I want to start saying about this book? Let's see. This subject on spirits is a massive subject, guys, and it's probably not something that you could fit into just one book. So I do definitely think there's more to say, and Jason Miller himself in this book actually says there could be a future second book coming that kind of carries on from this one. And, you know, Jason Miller, if you ever watch this video, please write another book on this subject, because this was fantastic and I think you have way more to say on the subject, and we would all love to hear your thoughts and ideas and would love your teachings on the subject to continue. So please write a second book, because it would be very well received. So absolutely, this book covers everything I think that you need to know when you're first connecting with spirits, but I definitely think there's more that can be written in the future on this topic. But obviously publishers limit how much authors can put in their books, so he's put as much as he can into here, jam-packing it full of information, but there's definitely more to say, in my opinion anyway. There are some fantastic debates within this book. One of them is respect versus authority. So if you don't know much about that subject, let me break it down. So in occult practices, you tend to find, especially in Solomonic magic and Hermetic magic, that they use commanding authority over the spirits. It's, you will do this, I am commanding you, I'm telling you, this is my desire and will, and you will carry it out. It's not an if, but when. There's no grey areas, there's no room at all for the spirit to negotiate. It's literally just do this and do it now. You're telling the spirit. So that's what the authoritative aspect is. The respect aspect that Jason Miller talks about is the way that I tend to communicate with a lot of my spirit guides. I prefer to work from a place of respect and building a relationship with my guides and spirit team. And he talks about that subject as well. Now, there are some spirits that don't respond well to being respectful. They do need a heavy hand. They do need that commanding voice to work with you effectively. But then there are spirits out there that take great disrespect at you thinking you're above them, better than them, and that you can tell them what to do. So it's really about researching and understanding the spirits you're trying to work with and making sure that you are covering all your bases and that you see historically and with other practitioners how they've successfully worked with that spirit as well, and compare all of those notes and figure out whether to come at that spirit from a place of respect and gratitude and building a relationship, a mutual relationship, or whether you need to be more commanding and authoritative with them. So there's an excellent subject about that in here that he talks about, and he gives you some excellent examples of both, and he breaks it down very, very well. He provides some fantastic rituals and exercises throughout the entire book, which will get you started on working with all kinds of different spirits. And these all worked very, very well. As I say, me and my colleagues worked through all of the rituals and exercises in this book. And actually, I think I read the book in about a week, but I went back and then over the course of a few months, we conducted the rituals, the exercises, tried them for ourselves, and then we met up and we had discussions about what our experiences were during them. And I definitely can say that I've added to my spirit team through doing the exercises in this book, because I've encountered some more spirits that I didn't know lived locally to me, that I've now forged relationships with, that have added to my spirit team. So definitely the rituals in here work, and the book is packed full of them, guys, so you won't be disappointed if you want to sink your teeth into doing ritual practice. There's definitely exercises in here for you to be able to do that. The book also provides some great examples and ideas for connecting with your local spirits, also known as genus loci, and how to make correct offerings to them. And there's a whole ritual working for that in here, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, Jason Miller, as I've said at the beginning, did not include a whole chapter on protection magic in this book, and there's a very good reason for that. He didn't want to give up space in the book, first of all, that could be more dedicated to the subject of spirits. And since he's already wrote a book on protection and universal magic, he basically refers you to that and says, go and buy that book, read that, put all in place that you need to protect from spirits and, you know, make yourself feel safe before you do the rituals and practices in here. He doesn't need to repeat himself over and over in every single book. And it's something actually that annoys me about other books is you get that one person who will review a book and they'll go, there was no protection magic in it. And it's like, well, go and buy a book on protection magic. You don't need every single book on witchcraft to give you every damn little detail of every aspect of witchcraft. You should be buying books on multiple subjects, but you should have books and information on the main subjects, one of which is protection magic. So for me, him not including that in this book didn't faze me at all, and actually I much preferred that. He does give little spells and little things you can do to protect yourself in here, but he does not provide you with an entire chapter droning on about protection and reversal magic. That is up to you to go ahead and find that information, read about it, and put those protections in place, which is another reason why I said this is not for a beginner. He did, however, like I said, make sure to provide some basic information and ideas in here, just so he covered himself a little bit. But I can tell when he was doing it that he was not enjoying putting those things in this book, because, as he said, he shouldn't have to. He's not here to basically spoon feed you information, guys. It's up to you to do the research and to do the legwork. So make sure you're doing that when you're reading your books. The other thing is, in my opinion, you should not be working with spirits if you don't know how to at least do the basics of witchcraft and you don't know how to protect yourself effectively. So if you are a complete beginner, like I said, and you've not even touched on the subject of protection magic, this really is not the book for you. Go away and do a bit more research, go and learn how to protect yourself effectively, and then come back and do this as a subject. Jason talks about friendly conjuration versus compelling with the spirits. This is an excellent subject that helps you understand both concepts and why they are both important equally and when to use each one. It's very similar to the subjects that I was talking about with respect versus authority. So commanding and compelling versus conjuration. So there are different ideas that he gives you, and he definitely gives you a lot to think about. And I made a lot of notes about how I feel when I was working through this book and the exercises and what worked best for me. And I'm definitely more the kind of practitioner that prefers to work from a place of respect where possible, and I prefer to conjure and invite rather than compel and command. However, I will compel and command when necessary, because I have walked the path of the occultist. I have practiced Hermetic and Solomonic magic, so I do know the differences and why they are relevant and needed. But from my personal perspective, I'd rather have someone on my team that wants to work for me and with me and not against me and be forced to, and then later could, you know, see their arse and come back and cause me problems later. That kind of isn't the practitioner that I am personally. And to conclude, we are going to look at the contents of the book. So there is a foreword in this book by Matt Oren, which you get at the very beginning. And then there's a really great introduction, as I've said. And then chapter 1 covers what is a spirit. Chapter 2, modes of manifestation. Chapter 3, spirit skills. Chapter 4, respect and authority. Chapter 5, prayers and spells. And this is where he breaks that down and tells you the difference between praying to a spirit, asking for their help, their guidance, their input or some knowledge, as opposed to working a spell or a ritual with a spirit included. And he tells you the difference between the two and how to conduct the two properly. Chapter 6, get to know the locals. So that's all about the genus loci that I was telling you about, all the local spirits that you can work with. Chapter 7, fear and danger. So that's the chapter that he chose not to put protection magic in. He chose to put in fear and danger and have a talk about that instead, but he does provide a couple of basic protection things in that chapter. Chapter 8, friendly conjuration. Chapter 9, compelling conjurations. So that's the differences between the two and why they're both relevant in different ways. And then chapter 10, intermediary spirits and familiars, and chapter 11, relationships and pacts. And then chapter 12 is questions that are commonly asked and then the answers that he gives for that. So I do want to read a little bit from the fear and danger chapter, because there's an important bit that he gives that I think he'll probably say it better than me, to be honest, guys. So I'm definitely going to read it out to you. So where is it? Here it is. So some of you reading into this book are probably pulling your hair out over the fact that I have not talked about protection against spirits. Yes, I already have you doing exercises to open yourself up to spirits, making offerings to attract spirits into your life, and trapezing around graveyards and forests looking for spirit allies. Isn't that dangerous? Sure, a little bit. So you might wonder why this book is so light on shielding and amulets and banishing. Why is this chapter called Fear and Danger rather than Protection Magic? There are 3 reasons. Firstly, I've already written a book called Protection and Reversal Magic, and as I said in the introduction to this book, I am not writing this book with the intention that it be your first foray into magic. If every book has to contain every possible preliminary and protection, then there will never be room for the substance of the book itself. And I 100% agree with what he said there, because the most annoying thing to me now as an advanced practitioner is that every single book, every author is having to add things into their books just so they don't get that one Amazon review that complains that you missed something. I mean, come on, guys. Part of being a witch is researching and doing the legwork for yourself, not having it spoon-fed for you. So if you're the kind of practitioner that wants everything in one tome because you're too lazy to do the research or read the material and actually study and really put effort into your own practice, then honestly, this book isn't for you, because Jason Miller doesn't write like that. I would never write like that either. And there's a lot of writers out there that get really fed up with spoon-feeding information to people because they're just generally too lazy to go out and do the research. So I, for one, didn't mind that he didn't put protection magic in this. As he said countless times in this book, he has a book on that. Go and read it and learn how to protect yourself. If you don't want to read that one, there are plenty of others. Psychic Protection, for example, by Ted Andrews. There's also another one called Psychic Shielding by Judy Hall. There is Protection Magic by Elaine Dugan. There are loads of books on the subject, guys. There's Hex Twisting. That's another good one for protection magic. And there's a book by Blackthorn called Protection Magic. There is a lot of books on the subject, guys. If you don't want to read Jason Miller's book on protection and reversal, that's fine. But go ahead and make sure you have read a book on the subject. It does not need to be included in every single book. And I prefer that because now he's managed to fit more information in this book that we can do with. The next thing he goes on to say is, still, I look forward to the Amazon reviews complaining that I did not properly instruct people on how to protect themselves. Second, a short chapter on magical protection can do a disservice to the idea of magical security, which gives the permission that a chapter is all you really need to know for complete and total security. The reality is, whether you are talking magic or computers or military installments. There is no such thing as total and foolproof security. Sometimes things will happen that you cannot prevent. All that is left is how you respond. Having confidence that you can respond when shit goes sideways is better than any protective shield or circle. As mentioned, I have already written that book, so I don't want to do it again. Fair enough. Third, the most important, you can, in fact, have too much security. I call this the Excalibur problem. It's not named after the sword, but the 1981 movie of the same name. In that film, the characters wear their heaviest armor all the time, no matter what they are doing. They fight in it, they joust in it, they eat dinner in it, they screw in it. It's a movie and it looks cool, so it's fine. In reality, it would be uncomfortable, if not impossible. It would be great for jousting when you are on horse and might even be okay for fighting as long as you don't need to move very fast. But for everything else, it would actually hamper your experience. Magical security can actually do this too. When 80% of your magical practice is banishing rituals, how open to spirits contact could you truly be? And I think that's an excellent point, because at the end of the day, if you are constantly banishing and you are never invoking, because an old term is when you banish you invoke, and many young practitioners are forgetting this. If you're constantly just banishing and clearing the decks and cleansing all the time, and you're forgetting to invoke and bring in all the spirits that you want in your space and all the energies you want, then you're just leaving a hollow gap for something more nasty to come in, and you're not really actually protecting yourself. On top of that, if you're casting so many protections and your whole life is about magical defense, then your protection wards will be so tight that yes, you will never go under attack, but your spells and rituals won't work effectively either. Because how can a spirit be called into your space when your space is a damn fortress and locked down so tightly, like Fort Knox, that no one could ever possibly get in, including spirits that you're trying to work with? So you'd be summoning those spirits and going, hey, I want to work with you, and they're on the outside going, hello, I'm trying to get in, but I can't quite make it. You need to use magical common sense, guys. Yes, it's great to have magical defense, but you need to make sure that you know how to weaken your wards and barriers when you're working spells and rituals. You need to know how to build them back up. You need to know how to conduct medical health tests on your spells and rituals and wards to make sure they're all healthy and not impacted by anything. And that's something else people forget. You might banish, you might put in wards and protections, but how often do you check them to make sure nothing's hit them, been absorbed by them, weakened them because you've been under some form of attack? And yes, your wards have worked because they've blocked it, but now they're weaker, so the next magical attack will come along and boom, they'll just smash straight through it. It's like a wall with cracks in it. Eventually, with a hard enough hit, it's going to come crashing down. So you have to check the health of all of your wards and protections. So there's a number of different things in this book that he talks about that is fantastic, good information, and I, for one, do not miss the chapter on protection magic because I don't think it was needed. My honest opinion on this book and full verdict, it's 10 out of 10. It's another fantastic book by Jason Miller, absolutely something you should all have in your collection if you are interested in building a relationship with spirits and gaining yourself some spirit allies, and you won't be disappointed with it, honestly. So I'm just going to give you a quick brief look through this book now, just to show you some of the doodles and information. So this is kind of some of the stuff that you will get. I believe there are some sigils in this book as well. There we go. Yeah, so you get images like that. So that's working with the elements. Here we have an image of Hecate and working with her. Pretty sure, I think there's an image of Baphomet. There we go. And then there's some sigils in here as well that you can work with. So that's one designed for Asmodeus. And here we go. So some symbols from the Goetia. Some sigils that he created himself. Here's an idea of what a ritual should look like that he's trying to do with you guys. There we go. We've got a symbol for Lucifer. And there's some charts and tables of information in here as well. Yeah, so overall, some really fantastic stuff. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and click the bell so YouTube will tell you when my next video comes out. If you'd like to offer like, love and support to this channel, you can do that through Patreon or my Amazon wishlist. And if you'd like to contact me for any of my magical services, be it a spell, ritual, healing or divination, you can do that through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or via email, and all the links are provided on the description of the video. Thank you very much for watching until the end of this video, guys. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon. Blessed be.